Hello, everyone. I'm back. So glad to be back. It was a wonderful trip. I had many wonderful experiences. My monitor's a little tilted. There we go. But all of it was in service of gaming, as always. I was lucky enough to be given a code for Tetris Forever. Even though the game comes out tomorrow, I get to enjoy a tasteful celebration of one of the most profound video games. Tetris. Tetris is for very classy gamers. Only the highest intelligent gamers enjoy Tetris. I don't have actually a lot of knowledge about what's in this game. I know that it has like interviews and documentaries, and it has like 20, I think, versions of Tetris from over the years, so that'll be a lot of fun. The real question is, does it have CDI Tetris? Oh yeah, Henk. He's the president of the Tetris company, I think. And then Alexey Pajitnov, of course, the creator of Tetris, of course. I haven't seen the movie, which seems real. That was weird. It seems really cool, you know. It's not like a. Why did the taskbar decide to make its presence known like that? What if I do this? There we go. Loopbox, thank you very much for the sub. It's that one time of the month where you have to read my message out loud. Hope you had a wonderful trip. I did. And here's the trick. Oh, that's right. They actually add progression, a sense of progression to it. They did this for a different game. I think it was the Atari collection, maybe. Where actually you like play through levels and stages, and it introduces you to stuff. Eve K, thank you very much for the sub. I shipped something to you recently. With any luck, it's arrived. They actually have like a timeline? That's awesome. Nozetsu, thank you for the sub. For over 40 years, the game known as Tetris has enticed us, confounded us, and occupied our brains long after we put down the controller. It's hard to imagine a world without Tetris. But how did we get here? I'm sure Nozetsu's thinking that, having just redeemed a VIP or ban. Strider, thank you for the cheer. Thank you very much. Got a dip. Hope you had a good trip. Oh, somebody's in a New York frame of mind. Rapping the hippity hop like that. Was in the city myself yesterday, and now waiting for my connecting flight to Florida. Also love you went back to the TWA hotel. Well, the first time we went, it was because we had a series of like rolling flight delays and missed connections and stuff. So they got us, like we were flying back from Finland actually earlier this year, and yeah, the closest we could get was New York. We could make it to the United States, but by then it was like 4 a.m. local time, and there were just no more flights. So yeah, we had to stay somewhere, and that hotel was connected to the airport. So there you go. And Steph had always wanted to stay there. So it was kind of incidental, even though we made the best of a exhausting situation. Robert Edwards, thanks for the sub, and DBE, thank you as well. So anyway, yeah, now we went back like to do the whole touristy thing and actually really enjoy it instead of just stay there for like 5 hours and then turn around and leave. All right, VIP or ban? Let's see what happens. Why are you making me do this? I mean, I know why. I'm sorry, Nozetsu. I'm sorry. This will be Nozetsu's 4th such ban. 4 bans. Any other channel, and you would think that that person is a bad seed. A real behavioral problem. But I'm sorry, Nozetsu. Sorry to make you do it. That's the last message that Nozetsu wrote before I banned them. And I can read that because I'm a streamer, and also I'm destined to be haunted by the wails of those who have passed on. I read it long after they're you know, long after they're deceasing in stream chat, their words echo in my mind. It makes it even more tragic that they tried to release me from this this terrible fate that I suffer, having to ban my own chat. But it is what it is, you know. That's the way it is. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Tetris. Wait, there was something else I got. Oh, we do. Okay, now all up to date. We got a hype train. That involves a chest, hype chest. So get on that, I guess. I'm gonna get on these blocks. Hey, Harry. Not so much a quiet weekend, but I had an exciting weekend. I got to go to New York City with Stephanie, who is an amazing travel partner, a wonderful partner in general. And we had some amazing experiences there. Saw 2 shows and went to like some pretty outrageous like horror improv theater dance masquerade shit. I'll talk about it eventually, I'm sure. I don't need to get into all the details now. Plenty of time to do that. While playing Tetris, Dr. Spaceman, thanks for the sub. Excited for some cozy games during these cozy months. Me too. It's going to be Yakuzamas soon, which means I can start Yakuza 1. Continue my yearly tradition. I think this is the 3rd year that I've tried to play Yakuza over the holidays. And in that time, I have beaten Yakuza 0. And that's it. Anyway, Tetris.
Hi everybody, I'm Alexey Pajitnov. 10 years ago, I invented a game called Tetris.
Great is not the word for Tetris. The right word for Tetris is perfect.
Good opening line.
I'm at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. I stand in line, and there I play Tetris for the first time.
Seems a little quiet, yeah?
Once you've played Tetris, like it's part of your DNA.
Then I go and play other games, and I find myself standing in line at the Tetris machine again, and I play again.
Perfectly implemented, perfectly balanced.
The 4th time I'm standing in this line, it's like, I'm really hooked on this game. I said, I'm going to go to the Soviet Union, and I'm not coming back till I have these rights.
Yeah, I need to watch the show for sure.
For everybody.
Yeah, meanwhile, they released 2 Yakuza games a year and 1 like remaster.
Language, and there's a whole Tetris effect that happens. You start.
Yeah, I got a lot of catching up to do.
Everywhere.
I'll pick up the pace. We're gonna get through at least a few games this holiday.
Tetris,
Maybe.
Harmonically, everything comes together.
The thing that makes Tetris.
Yeah, I'm gonna do PS2 Yakuza US localization because that's the first one I played, and it actually put me off the Yakuza series for a long time.
It's no.
I went on to like RGG's all of their other games.
They are all good.
Weirdly, like I really liked
activity.
Binary Domain.
It's not a destructive game, it's a constructive.
Every so often, I would just happen upon one of their games that wasn't called Yakuza, and I'd be like, "This is really interesting."
It's illusion because what you.
They only made like 3, 2 or 3.
Construct anything. As a matter of fact, you keep destroying the stuff you build.
I love documentation.
Yeah.
All you see is the garbage. Your failures and mistakes.
You want to keep clearing lines.
You play and play and play to get rid of it, to get it lower.
Yeah.
It really kind of speaks to the
Pirate in
human
Hawaii
need
seems really
to want
fun.
to create order out of chaos.
And plus,
Like to
if
figure it out,
like
and
Ubisoft
that's
won't
why
make
we're
another
not
Black Flag
later.
game, like a game that has
Connected to
naval
every time
traversal and
I
combat in it.
visit the game, I never satisfied because I clearly see that this game won't be at the same level of Tetris.
The friendship that formed between Henk Rogers and Alexey Pajitnov really ultimately brought Tetris to the rest of the world. They're still best friends today.
I think our friendship is deeper than Tetris.
Look at those homies.
Programmers, and they both have the love of games.
Basically, I just live with it for my whole life, and time to time, strange stuff happened.
Play Tetris, my friends.
Okay.
Just 2 Tetra bros hanging out. Polyominoes. True story begins decades before the Tetris game was created. In 1953, mathematics professor Solomon Gollum invented the term polyominoes to describe 2-dimensional shapes created by connecting equally sized squares. He called the shapes made of 3 squares triminoes, 4 squares trominos, and 5 squares pentominoes. Like domino? But it's not a duomino. Whatever. Those are awkward words. We can trim that up a little bit. But he's a professor, so whatever. That is an appealing cover, though. Look at that. It's like the very dignified drop shadow. Let's see here. Pentomino puzzle games enjoyed a surge of popularity in the 1960s after the spread of Solomon Golem's research. The aim was to fit 12 unique pentomino shapes into a rectangular form without leaving any gaps. Ah. With the passage of time, I have learned the true antiquity of the pentominoes. The observation that there are 12 distinct patterns, the pentominoes, that can be formed by 5 connected stones on a Go board. The very old Japanese games played with black and white stone markers placed on a board is attributed to an ancient master of that game. Ah. So this, yeah, it's... I haven't played Go enough to be aware of like this stage of the game where you start to be aware that like the game tends to happen in clumps of moves. Of like larger tactical decisions that play out in a few but pretty tactical ways. So yeah, when like Go shapes start to become fundamental, well beyond anything I ever had familiarity with. It's super cool to learn about though. Yeah, the concept of territory. Ugh. So cool. Honestly, that's the ideas of all that is what I found appealing about StarCraft, which I've been thinking about. All right, more movie. I guess we gotta... Okay, we'll get there eventually.
I was a regular schoolboy, and my mother was journalist in a cinema magazine. And when I got it, it was very fascinated. I fall in love with cinema that time. And my father was rather writer. He published several books on different writers and philosophers. So they was humanitarian and I'm kind of more technical person. Father feed me with lots of logical puzzles. He tried to teach me with the chess, but completely failed because he was a very good chess player and I never can beat him, so I'm very defensive in chess, so this is not good.
I mean, I've been thinking a lot about competitive mindsets and how games can teach you about yourself and how
that's what
competitive games can teach you about yourself and how you interact in the world.
In my career. In 8th grade, I entering to the special program for mathematics. Then I get to the high school.
It's been on my mind a lot lately.
Institute of Aviation, how it called, and I graduated as a programmer, mathematician, researcher.
Alrighty. Oh, I just realized, the Grandmaster Tetris tweeted something out. I guess they're gonna release a new game or a remake or something. Freaking awesome. And yeah, the Tetris effect is real. I mean, it's pretty. It's not that hard to experience it. Really, you just play Tetris for like a few hours. You'll probably notice it. Yeah, I knew the Grandmaster from Eureka. That's so sick. I don't think Eureka does anything but that. Maybe they put out some other games, but hello, great name. 1 2 3 4 5 5 6 6 7.
There is a professor in United States. His name is.
Oh, they made Tetris 99. That makes sense.
He wrote the entire book about Polyominoes.
Tetris 99 feels really good to play.
How many different shapes you could build out of several squares, put them together. I love this book. It was translated and one of my favorite books on my mathematical bookshelf. So 1 square produces just 1 piece, that's it. 2 square produce just 1 piece, which traditionally called domino. That's where mino came from. 3 mino is just 2 pieces. The straight line and the...
Oh, they did Street Fighter EX? Oh.
We know it very well. But with the
Captain.
pentamina, it started to be interesting.
Thank you for the sub.
Because there are
51
exactly
months of
12
placing
different
tetrominos
shapes
to
you
form a
could
full
make
line.
together with the 5 squares. So
Feels good to see those
pentamina
bricks go
set,
away.
I purchased it. I believe I was 14.
Does this have the full
15.
documentary? Like if you just sit down and watch it from start to finish?
It was lots of
I'm not sure.
enjoyment there.
I'm kind of ignorant about what's included.
Creative stuff.
It's one of those games where I just knew that it,
So
you know,
basically
I was going to
it's
enjoy it, so
12 shape
I don't care. They already have my money.
could make out
I'll just let
of
them
X
surprise me with
squares,
whatever they
W
decide to do.
Or C or X. This one called F somehow. It's not F, but look like.
Oh, great name. You found, brought you this
Basically,
thing?
could play with
I'm glad
it
you did.
to
I'm having a lot of
wanna
fun
build something.
working on that.
It's
Or Inside Games,
much
perhaps.
more
I guess
rich
both of
than
those
Jigsaw puzzle because
fit the
Jigsaw
description.
puzzle you could
Speaking of, it is
together
Monday, so it has
just
brought you
in
this
one
thing day.
And this stuff
I'll have to step away from the stream in a couple of hours, but I'll be back
give you much
a
more
few hours after
diversity.
that because I want to play Slitterhead a lot too.
The activity
Very Lawrence Day of
much
video
remind
games.
You how you play Tetris, isn't it? I did some kind of tower or whatever. But then the moment starts that you get tired and try to put it back in the box. And that's where the puzzle starts. You feel that you're doing great and great. Doing
Yeah.
some progress and all of
A lot of what I
discover
haven't read a ton about Slitterhead,
you're
but
very far from
I have a pretty high tolerance for jank, especially if there's
to
artistic
put it,
ambition
so
behind it.
We already don't have the piece for this. For this.
Is it like old school jank or is it some kind of new jank? Because, I mean, every old school survival horror game was pretty
doesn't
jank,
fit there as well. And
but I don't know
then
if it's
you
some kind of
start
new jank.
to do some kind of
2024-ish.
movement, take away this stuff and put them together, and it didn't fit, and so on. 6x10 rectangle could be filled up. I calculated on my computer.
One of those games you could look at and think, yeah, if only there was a higher budget.
Some
Okay.
300,000 something configuration. I don't remember exactly.
I had shades of that feeling with Evil Within,
Good.
even though I kind of warmed up to
Before you finally got
its
lucky
presentation
and
as the
find
game went
one
on.
piece. I had several of them lying everywhere in my house. So once in
Is it like
once
that?
a year, I found this box and enjoy it, and then put it back, and that's it. So, wow, I forget how to do this. So wasn't something really special and whatever for me.
Oh. That is very complimentary,
Tutu.
real Mr. Payne. You, Bruce, Steven Larson are the first channels I followed on Twitch. Steven Larson are such cool dudes. I only had the pleasure of talking to them a few times at some machinima events back in the day, but like super down to earth, very genuine, and that was uncommon in those days, and hasn't gotten any more common as the years go by, but you love to see
I
it.
was interested in
Somebody who's in a
computer
scene just because they
and
just
computer
genuinely
science.
enjoy it and are very
That's
grateful and humble and
my
smart and
homework
hardworking and just like
my kind of
quality.
course for
Quality
creative
individuals.
course in Computer Center of Academy of Science. And I love the people, and after I graduate, then I start working.
Oh,
They
chocolate.
place me on some project
Oh.
about the speech recognition. I found myself.
Oh, my audios aren't on. Hold on. Oh, thank you.
To make a tool to
Thank you very
get
much for the
some
48
kind
months.
of strange
4
business
years.
system, which is also the tool, you know. It's
It's
hard
in the
to
game.
explain you now, but we don't have too much fun stuff going out of computer. It was mostly boring kind of lines of code, and maybe some kind of very, very, very primitive images which are composed out of letters and symbols. That's all we have that time. And
You know what,
asked
Harry? It's funny you
myself,
mentioned the
how do
Tomb
I
Raider
get
remasters.
the
I'm
directly
still
from
thinking about that
the
every now and often.
computer? As
It'd be
soon
fun to
as
go and
I
play
was
through those
done with
games.
My plant work on speech recognition. For myself, I start put together some small riddles and games and whatever. So
I wasn't like with Angel of Darkness music video and whatever. It makes me realize that I'm not that aware of how they marketed Tomb Raider games, so that might be fun to dig around in too. I know there were some pretty crass magazine ads, but beyond that, I want to see the... Look at that thing.
So what you see here is the
I want to see the like TV ads,
impression of the Electronika
trailers.
60, which I originally created Tetris. Very old and unreliable. So I think it's just for guests to watch it and admire. This is not authentical computer. It's a little bit later computer. It's a version of.
It's an upgraded version.
Electronika 125. Very similar to this one. It has this keyboard and kind of Russian placement of the keys. This is monitor. It just TV set. Which produces kind of lines and ASCII symbol, and that's it. Usually I played with the numeric keyboard 7, 8,
Yeah,
7, 9, 4.
It's really not that hard to get the Grandmaster 3 on PC out there, and it runs really well.
I didn't have a hard drop was.
Yeah, I got a little folder floating around on my PC with that squirreled away.
Left.
May not be necessary with like if there's just a full official buyable new version of TGM, that's going to be great.
Rotate. Okay, and then escape.
I think plans to play Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D this week. Yes, indeed. I am looking forward to it. In their spare time, I don't know if I'm gonna stream it. I mean, I've got a stack of really good JRPGs actually I've been enjoying right now. So maybe some of it will bleed over into stream time. In their spare time, Alexey and his coworkers enjoyed programming games on their work computers. They had dreams of being able to sell the game somehow, although that would have been extremely unlikely under the USSR's current economic communist system. Alexey brought back to the Polyominoes game, he had found as a teenager. A virtual Polyominoes set make for a compelling video game. He started thinking about a game in which players could arrange Polyominoes, but soon realized that the 5-brick shapes were too complex. So he decided to use 4-block Polyominoes, the Tetramino. Rather than have the player fit the shapes into a small box, like the Polyomino puzzle, Alexey hit on the idea of having the pieces fall down into a well, where the players would try to place as many of them as possible into the box by rotating them and fitting them together. Originally, the game would... Oh, it tingles it when you look at it. Originally, the game would be over once the well filled up, but this would happen very quickly. Additionally, Alexey noticed that if the player put blocks all the way across the well, it would block off the bottom and render that area unusable. To solve this problem, Alexey made it so the game would clear any completed line, give the player more room to play. This turned out to be the last piece of the puzzle, and an addicting game was born. Tetris! Alexey named his game after the Greek word for four, tetra, and tennis, his favorite sport. Tetra plus tennis became Tetris. Neato. Yeah, I had no idea that that's why they were called... I mean, I assumed there was a tetra in the name for a reason, but I didn't know it was dominoes. Or that that's where Tetris came from. This recreation of Alexey's original version of Tetris shows you how the very first version of the game was played. The game kept track of how quickly you dropped blocks and how many lines you cleared. The concept of clearing 4 lines at once to create a high-scoring Tetris line clear would not be introduced until 1988, over 4 years later. Whoa. Polyominoes? Damn. It's got hard drop already, though. I always like this trick. Kaboom! So slick. Oh, I guess there's little dots whenever you clear a line. It's like a little visual celebration. I thought that was a glitch or unrelated. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, yeah, this is pretty cool. What's amazing about it is that it's basically all there. All of it. There's other games now that are like just bits and pieces that have been bolted on over the years, gradual additions, but the only thing it doesn't have is like a hold. I think you can only rotate one direction. You can turn the next off. Yeah. Oh. Hide next, hard drop, speed up, hide text. Okay. Yeah. It's immaculate design. It cannot get any better. Oh, hey Ronnie. How have I been? I've been great. Just got back from a trip in the big city. New York. I'd do it at least once. Went to celebrate Stephanie's birthday. Saw some shows, saw some sights, rode the subway. Did not get into a confrontation with anyone on the street. Although I did walk past some like two dudes that were just full-throated shrieking at each other in the road, so that was pretty cool. Didn't see any big-ass rats, although I did see a couple of mice hanging out near a pizza spot we went to super late. They were just doing the thing, you know, scurrying back and forth is what they do. Didn't bother me none, but of course Steph is not a fan, so for her sake I wasn't. Even though I wanted to see like a big old mutant motherfucker, it didn't end up happening. Probably for the best, I guess, but I can still be a little disappointed. Oh, the enter name and finish. I did it. Is that a high score? Fuck yeah. Oh, this one's got a title screen? The real fun of Tetris is finding all the weirdo variants that exist. I think this game is going to do the work for you then, because it's got tons of them over the years. Awesome. That's certainly a weirdo version. Never played that one before. Oh, Heretic. Yeah, that's the horror movie with Hugh Grant. I'm excited. Excited to see that. Every time Hugh Grant has played like outside his rom-com typecast, he's done a phenomenal job. So, hoping it's one of them David Hyde Pierce situations where he's got so much to give and we've only asked for one thing for too long. Yeah, Heretic, also a really good game. Onyx, thanks for the sub.
I still play with my box of pentamines, and I'm wondering why nobody just play against each other with this stuff. And I thought that it would be very interesting to try to research it on the computer. I just started programming it. At that time we didn't have any graphics on the computer, so I realized that I could use the square bracket for the squares and it looked pretty very much. Then I start doubting, so 12 shapes is very good for when you have all of them in front of you on the table. But if they coming all the time, it's too much to remember. And 7 is a magical number. We know that 7 is the size of operative memory. People could remember lots of phone numbers. I decided that I should downsize it. So tetramine is obvious instead of pentamines, and I were very very glad and very excited when I make this decision. And I feel that it's natural, the piece to fall down because it's a gravity on this planet. I immediately start to put together some play field. I didn't feel that I need the entire screen. Too much movement. This play field was filled up practically in 1 minute, so I need to somehow deal with it. I realized that the full lines, all full lines, are kind of dead on the screen. Why don't I just take them away? And that was the last and very serious aha for Tetris game. The game immediately start to be really bright. I can't stop playing.
Wow.
I really appreciate the hard drops I did in the game.
Yeah, doing a hard drop right from the
only
beginning.
One drop I could do is a hard drop because my keyboard, it doesn't distinguish push and release moments.
Huh.
With all my wish, I can't do any soft drop at
Wow.
but hard drop.
He even
was
knew about soft drop.
That determined that.
Like he was thinking about it, just did not have the interface to do it.
What's the highest level on this? Is it 9?
9, but 9 is very kind of flashy. You have your eyes tired pretty soon. So.
Now, is level 9, is the reason you went up to 9 because you only wanted to use 1 digit space?
Yes.
Huh.
Finally, my colleague found out that I doing something strange.
Ryder,
on the computer
thanks for the sub.
a week or so. And I say, okay, guys, okay, I will finish my programming and I will show you the stuff. And then I put a small
Also, hey, Zez and Izzle.
screen,
Iberian Matt, howdy.
and put together and release the game. And it was like
And Mike420 over on YouTube. Hey, hey.
wood fire. In 2 months, every Electronika 60 had this game on it.
Hell yeah.
People say that my game is like a drinking vodka. The word glass was very kind of associated with the drinking, and we need it for vodka, of course. And the people put the title Stakan. Stakan, which you used to drink vodka. But I insisted on Tetris all the time. And Tetris is very
That's
nice
so Russian it hurts.
sound in Russian, at least.
Like they imagined a
I
cup
really
filling up with
was
vodka that you would like
fortunate
drink
to
away.
was in the game. So I decided it should be something kind of related to Tetris. That was a very popular game which lots of people enjoy on IBM PC called Onyx. Onyx, I like this X termination, but Tetris was too much copying from Onyx, so I put.
You just had to wait 25 years for Wetrix.
Will be little bit lighter and remind me of tennis, my favorite sport. And this is a good name.
I always like it when somebody talks about just considering phonetics. Like it's fun to say. Got an ominous feeling. Alexey's colleagues at the Academy of Sciences loved playing his game, but how could he let the rest of the world know about his creation? It would have been illegal for him to sell it. Alexey put those questions aside for the time being. First, he wanted to get the game off the creaky Electronika 60 and onto IBM-compatible PCs, which were quickly becoming a global standard for home computers. Around this time, Alexey met a brilliant 16-year-old student who was excelling so much in school that he often got to visit the academy, both to learn from the staff and to teach them what he knew about advanced programming languages. Alexey asked Vadim Gerasimov to port his Pascal code of Tetris to the IBM PC.
At some moment, people who work on IBM PC approached me and started pushing me to port it to PC. I didn't like very much PC that time. The colors were too funky, too bright.
Oh, like CGA?
Kind of very unserious.
Purple, cyan.
I understand that this is enjoyment stuff for kids, but my mathematical kind of spirit, it's not something I really want to work on a lot, you know. And I had a perfect excuse. At that time, it was no common device between IBM PC and Electronika 60.
think this might have been before
Floppy disks,
CGA. What,
had
84?
Totally different format. So that was my excuse. I say, type it again. Forget it. One day, one of my friends from this PC department brought me the young schoolboy. He was 15 or whatever. He get the school practice in computer center for programming. Absolutely genius guy. His name was Vadim Gerasimov. He used to work for Google last time I've heard about it. I don't know where he is now. But this young wunderkind kind of was presented to me, and I say, well, basically I have this floppy disk with Tetris program in it in Pascal language. So if you could transfer it somehow, then we could do something with it on PC. He knew MS-DOS, the PC.
Okay, so yeah,
operating system
that must have
of the
been-
time very well. So he could do
CGA existed.
absolutely magical stuff there. He understood the file system, which is totally different. He make a physical reading of the disk. And in 4 or 5 days, less than a week, he invited me and showed me my Tetris game exactly with those square bracket and stuff working on PC. I was really surprised and amazed with this.
What keyboard am I using right
For
now?
me, it might take maybe months.
It's the Tinker 75.
of work of studying,
Here, you can
of
unplug
trying
it.
and whatever.
Well, the colors are
Did
cute, so I'm gonna
everything.
show that.
In the record time, it was absolute miracle for me. If I find a small rectangle of a ASCII table of the certain color, and we decide to make
It's,
this normal 60.
They did a
color
sponsor
text mode.
chip a while ago, but for the 65%
And,
keyboard.
because it's PC,
But I
it's
wanted the, I
much
need like
more
delete and page up and page down. I use those.
So
for
it's
business
really
things.
spread and we start
So I bought a 75.
the evaluation
And then I put, what switches do I have on there right now?
from
I changed to pretty lightweight switches. And I have,
everybody
you know,
likes the
translucent
key,
keys.
but
I could look them all up, but I don't specifically remember. Oh, MS-DOS Tetris. By late 85, Pajitnov and Gerasimov had a version of Tetris that ran in MS-DOS. While this version was still fully constructed out of text characters, the color graphics and extended character set of the PC allowed the blocks to appear in a rainbow of colors. The display was now in English instead of Russian, which would help it spread even further around the world. Along the screen's bottom edge ran the phrase, "Play Tetris." I will. Wow. Neat. How was mini vacay? It was great. Steph is a fantastic travel partner. We had a wonderful time. Got to see some shows and walk around, ride the subway. Yeah, just a wonderful time. I mean, honestly, that's the kind of thing that I did not. I don't know. I thought like that's the kind of thing I might be able to do once in my life ever. So it's pretty cool that I can just like that as an adult now. I thought I'd have to like win a contest or something. Not going well. Not going well. Yeah, the contest I won is of life because I get to spend it with Steph. That's a good way of looking at it. I beat all you losers in chat. You want to spend your trips with Stephanie. You can't. I won. Oops. 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 Oh, this is bad. Yeah, how does it feel to be a loser? Chat! Didn't let me rotate it. But remember, you. Just remember, okay? Ah! Ah! Eesh. Yeah. You can't finesse the pieces around like you can in later versions for sure. Oh. Awesome. Moved him as Dodge. Pajitnov made copies for friends. They made copies for their friends, and so on, and so on. Tetris took on a life of its own. Soon, wherever you found a PC in Moscow, there was a good chance that a Tetris floppy disk was somewhere nearby waiting to be played. There was one particular copy of Tetris that changed the world. Victor Briabrin, one of the higher-ups at the Academy of Sciences, had sent a copy to his friend, the director of a computer science institute in Budapest, Hungary, called SZKI Sizki. Tetris had escaped Moscow, but couldn't get past the Iron Curtain. While Hungary was also, at the time, a communist country, it had adopted a more progressive stance towards international trade. This was largely thanks to the massive success of the Rubik's Cube toy, invented by Erno Rubik in Hungary in 1975 and released around the world starting in 1980. There was apparently a kids' cartoon based on the Rubik's Cube. That's dumb. Why is that dot not filled in? I played you. What do you want for... Oh, I had to look at the picture. Okay. Did I not fill in anything else? No. 100% completion rate of Tetris progress. All right. Born in Hungary and living in London, England, Robert Stein was a computer entrepreneur who ran a company called Andromeda Software. Andromeda would license computer games being created in Hungary to publishers around the world. On a trip to the Computer Science Institute Sizki in June 1986, Stein happened to see Tetris being played on a PC. No direct quote. This company had a lab where they were developing all sorts of things. They wanted to show me scientific, sophisticated products. Then I looked over in a corner and said, "What the hell is this?" Jumping up and down on the IBM PC screen. They said, "Oh, it's just a game." This is Stein for the New York Times, 1988. Sizki. All right. Let's make a deal.
Our secretary of the director of the human resource person came to me and say, "We got the telex from you from England. Come, take it and respond it." And that was a Robert Stein proposal to license Tetris. He saw this game in Shki. Shki is a Hungary Institute of Computer Science, probably. And he likes it, and he wants to license it, and he proposed about, I don't remember, either 15, either 10,000 pounds or dollars. I don't remember clearly either. But that amount I appreciated in kind of 3-4 computers, PC. IBM PC that time. The situation was very clear. At this time, not my computer center, even Academy of Science has no right to have any business deal with somebody outside of USSR. It was like from kindergarten, every Soviet person knows that for sure. I had no doubt and very serious and very simply answered him in a proper words that I am very glad to receive this telex. I like what you propose. I will find somebody who is authorized to make a deal with you.
That's it?
Later on, it shows that he considered my very polite reply on this as a authorization for him to get the license. That was absolutely shock for me later on. But that time I went with this telex to my deputy director, who was more authorized in the stuff. He said, okay, go ahead and find out if we could sell it and get couple computers in the computer center. That would be great. And then I start kind of my odyssey over those different agencies in Moscow.
Huh. What the Academy had meant to convey by that message is that they wanted to sit down and attempt to hammer out a contract with Stein. But what Stein took from that message was the deal was done and that the eventual contract would just be a formality. After that message, he immediately began to sublicense Tetris to publishers around the world, even though he didn't have the rights yet. Holy shit. That's business, baby. You snooze, you lose. Alexey Pajitnov's creation and Alexey himself were about to fully break through the Iron Curtain and emerge onto the world stage, but the Tetris story doesn't end here. In fact, it was just getting started, as another game developer was about to discover Alexey's game. Tetris Biz. Look at this dude. Amazing sweater on this guy. Pajitnov's brilliant game had been discovered and the race was on as video game publishers around the world competed for the rights to publish this Russian marvel in their home country. All right, Henk.
I was born in the Netherlands. I lived in Holland for 11 years and moved to New York City. Learned English, went to Our Lady of Sorrows, graduated #1 in my school, and ended up going to the best math and science high school in New York called Stuyvesant High School. That's where I got to touch computers for the first time. These were the days of punch cards. And I would
no, I haven't seen the Tetris movie or the documentary. Somebody else brought up in chat.
Which is the printout 2 days later.
Ugh.
That was the turnaround time. That wasn't good enough for me, so I cheated, and I made 6 copies of my program and put one in each drawer of each class.
Nice.
So I had a turnaround time of 4 hours, and my teacher couldn't understand how I was so fast.
Keza, thank you for gifting a sub to How He Feels.
18, I moved to Hawaii.
And Kala, thank you for the sub.
Surfing and diving. You know, if there was
77
waves, I was surfing.
months.
If there was no waves,
Thank
I
you
was
for your
diving.
service.
I was in the water every day. I was a fish. And one day I read in the newspapers, oh my goodness, I can go to night school and have access to computers. My dream. I loved computers. You know, I could ICS 301, you know, learn how to program in BASIC. So I said, Dad, I have access. And about a week into it, my teacher called me in and said, Mr. Rogers, what are you doing? I said, what do you mean, what are you doing? And he says, well, you've already used as much computer time as an average student uses in a semester. And I showed him the programs I was working on, and he says, okay, carry on. You know, every assignment that we got, I went extra credit. I was so good that he hired me as a TA, and I graded all the papers for the next ICS 301 class. So I actually got a job, which was very useful. People ask me, what did you study? You know, what was your major? And I always say, I majored in computer science and I minored in Dungeons and Dragons. We had a organization at Campus Center called ARG, the Alternative Recreational Realities Group of Hawaii. You know, the first D&D books, they were like little tiny books, and they didn't really have enough information to actually play the game. You had to make up stuff. So we had all these additional rules, and we called them ARG rules. And so that fleshed out for the dungeon masters and for the players how to play D&D. After,
Man,
I don't know.
this is what people got up to before the internet.
Half a year, I ran out of computer classes that I could take in night school. And my teacher said, well, you know, if you want to go to if you want more computer time, you're going to have to go to day school. So I said to my teacher, well, I'm not going to take any of my core requirements. And he says, I'm not saying that you have to take your core requirements. All I'm saying is that if you want more computer time, you're going to have to go to day school. I said, okay, I'll go.
Yeah, that one little
All
hair
the computer classes.
that's driving you crazy right there.
And I took only the classes that I was interested in, which is pretty much all the science classes. I even took religion and the meaning of existence, some history, stuff that I was interested in. At the end of 3 years, they called me in and they said, another Mr. Rogers store. Mr. Rogers, what are you doing? And I said, what do you mean? I said, well, you haven't taken any of your core requirements. And I said, well, I've already been to high school.
Nice. Got him.
And then they said, well, if you're not going to take your core requirements, you're not going to graduate. I said, there must be some mistake. I'm not here to graduate.
Yeah, I don't care.
I'm here to get an education.
Nice.
And I've already got my education.
Oh,
I
boomed.
chased the girl to Japan, and that was it.
Oh. What an exit line. Damn, man, the mic drop. I'm gonna go bang this Japanese chick. Bye. Holy shit. That's fucking awesome. Oh yeah, Lemmings, you're talking about the Halo 3 or Halo 2 demo? Might be fun to dick around in. Awesome, man. What a hoss. I'm surprised it's getting so much like blog coverage, which is a weird phrase, but yeah, I guess it's nostalgic for a lot of people. I'm kind of curious about, I remember there was a build of Half-Life 2 that leaked before the game came out. And I think you could play through the Ravenholm section that was in that extended demo that Valve did. Oh, the E3 lighting isn't present? Interesting. Yeah, I know a lot of people watch that video a ton. But that would be fun to play through. I don't know if it's just fully available and playable these days, or if it's kind of buried on the internet somewhere. Riddled with Bitcoin miners, perhaps. Oh, Japanese RPGs. Oh.
I went to Japan.
The hair is back.
And, there was no way for me to access computers. And so I ended up working for my father in the gemstone business for 6 years. And then personal computers came out. And I go, oh my gosh, this is my chance. Got my whole hands on a computer. I went to Akihabara, which is the electronics center in Tokyo. What are people buying? They have to do with computer. Because I was ready to do an accounting software, for Christ's sakes. And I found out, wow, people are buying games. Games? And they were mostly like little tiny shooting games and jumping platform games. There were some simulation war games, a little bit more complicated. But there were no role-playing games. And
that's really fascinating that his background was in Dungeons and Dragons.
In the U.S., we already had Ultima and Wizardry. What I didn't know is that in Japan, there was no Dungeons and Dragons. Oh my gosh. Okay, I have to teach people how to, play this game.
Huh. Black Onyx made a conscious decision to develop a game type that existed in the US but not Japan. There were no RPGs, computer or paper, to speak of in the country at the time, so I decided to take a chance and do one. Didn't speak or read Japanese back then, so it was a total reverse engineer of titles I had enjoyed back home. Huh. Why JRPGs are so different? Yeah, they're pretty much all like Dragon Quest is the formative game, it feels like. There may have been something that had that before Dragon Quest, but that's kind of like the foundational fantasy that all JRPGs are kind of built on. Whereas, yeah, a lot of Western RPGs are based on tabletop Dungeons and Dragons. And you can still I've of course rambled about this a lot in the past, but that really still informs the core of those experiences. JRPGs are typically a lot more, there's no presumption about changing the story. That's not what a JRPG is about. The story is pretty linear, and it's that's part of its creative DNA. The game part is the part you get to mess with. Whereas Western games, again, a much more tabletop kind of experience, try to have this reactive story, like a DM is sitting there and actually listening and interpreting what you do, but they have to pre-plan it all. Yeah, action games with player stats. Pretty much, yeah, like cutscene action games. It's like a cutscene strategy game. Anyway, Weapon, thanks for the sub. Before I make a spiel, has anyone recommended a video game YouTube channel by the name of Moon Channel? No. Not that I know of. I don't watch a lot of gaming content on YouTube, though, I'll warn you. Hank established Bulletproof Software, aka BPS. I feel like I've heard of Bulletproof. On August 10th, 83, he developed the Black Onyx, his first role-playing game created in Japan in late 83. Sales were slow at first, but once Hank personally demonstrated the game to the editors of various computer magazines, Black Onyx ended up selling over 150,000 copies, a massive amount for the time, making it the #1 video game in Japan in 1984. Wow, I want to see this game.
Make a game. I was going to have warriors and clerics and magic users, and I was going to have all these different character classes, and my imagination, this game was going to be this big. What did I know about what a computer can do? I didn't, and I didn't know how to read, speak, or write Japanese. My wife could read, but she didn't understand anything about what was written in the manual, so that was kind of useless. And all the manuals were in Japanese, so I had to hack the computer the whole time. I had 64K, so I made a role-playing game within 64K, all graphics, no text, or a little bit of text.
Holy cow.
I started writing it all in BASIC, and then the 3D part. When I wrote the 3D in BASIC, it was like the walls were like, that's speed, and then you would take a step, bunk. And it was like, I said, no, there's no way this game can take that long, and so I decided to take that part of the game, write it in assembler. When I was done with that, you push the button, it happened immediately. There was no, you couldn't tell that it was drawing anything. And I was like, that was the first time I really understood how fast assembler was, or conversely, how slow BASIC was. There's a sample monster here. This is the demon. 10K for all monster graphics, and 10K for all people graphics. I think they were about equal in weight. I based the graphics on on miniatures. Because when we played Dungeons and Dragons, we played them with miniatures. And so you had little people, and every time you went and you bought a new piece of armor, you would see it. And so you graphically could see your group up to 5 warriors getting better and better and better. And I made a dot matrix graphic editor so that I could draw each monster dot by dot.
God.
He's already bought armor. He's already bought a shield. He's already bought a sword. I mean, he's already an advanced level character. The only thing that wasn't graphic was potions. Potion, you could see whether you had a little bottle as a potion, but you couldn't tell how many potions you had in your bottle. It's up to 5 potions.
Oh.
I wanted a package that was a little bit more expensive than the other packages. All the other packages were paper. Part of the reason is my game was 7,800 yen when all the other games were 6,800 yen.
Oh.
And the reason for that is because I believed that my game had longer gameplay.
That art. Damn.
The painting in my office was
Velvet
by
Bite.
Roger Dean,
Thank you very much for the
for
sub.
doing things like
Yeah.
the Yes Band logo, and
Destiny-style
the painting
landscapes.
In my office was the cover of an RPG game that Henk created called the Black Onyx.
That rocks.
And this was the Famicom version of the game. The painting is called Freya's Castle, and Freya actually is Roger's daughter.
Aw.
That game, it took me 9 months to build, and I would say that's my lifetime greatest achievement. I mean, when you think about it, like today, if somebody gave you 64K and say make a role-playing game, that would be tough.
Yeah, it would.
Now, I used to be in the
Especially with
dev business,
graphics?
so
God.
I knew.
Although I guess, I don't know.
I told my dad I need
Demo scene maniacs can do a lot.
Black Onyx. The first 100 people that found the Onyx and send me the secret password, which was Yggdrasil, which is the tree of life, I would send them a real Black Onyx.
Destiny!
Black Onyx turned out to be the #1 game in Japan in 1984. I published it myself. My company was Bulletproof Software. And I was all of a sudden a folk hero in the computer game world in Japan.
That rocks. God, that's so cool. Yeah, Shadow of the Beast style.
I wrote the first 2 games for the company, or for my company.
Oh, did he get
Came
it?
to the conclusion that I couldn't do this for the rest of my life. Basically, writing a computer game is a full-time job. In fact, it's more than a full-time job. I was running the company, and I was making computer games. And you can't do both. I had to choose. And so I started traveling around the world, looking for games to bring to Japan.
Okay.
Here we are in Earl's Court. This is the
That's much more exciting, more adventurous to actually be able to like go places and meet people versus just close yourself up and spend all day smashing away at a thing.
This is Shanghai on the Sega machine. It's pretty good.
Thank you. Yes, here we have Henk Rogers from BPS. Yes, he's over here breaking in and expanding the UK software market. He's expanding in many different ways, taking over the world.
I hired programmers to actually take those games and move them to the Japanese computers. I'd published 2 of the first 4 Electronika.
Hey, Dejan. Also, Bill, hello.
And
Bill has an important question. Is Megalopolis worth watching? You've said some
by the way.
things.
I published
For you, I think so,
software
yes.
games. I made LucasArts.
I think you appreciate
I made deals with companies all over
Camp.
the world. I was more nimble than the Japanese companies.
it's look at that
Generally, the way it
third
works in
grip.
Japan is somebody sees a game.
Megalopolis is a film from a bygone era
all the
where
shows,
one person's id is allowed to vomit unquestioningly all over the screen.
and that takes too long.
So
I'm the president of the company. I could make the decision. I spoke English.
go for it.
That advantage, and I used it. I licensed a bunch of games. And
You'll
one of the
never see
games
another movie
I
like it.
licensed in that way was a little game called Tetris.
Ah, okay. Oh, okay. Dating back over 2,500 years to ancient China. Go or Ego. In Japanese. Ego. Board game is a board game in which each player places black or white stones on a board and attempt to encircle and thus remove their opponent's stones. Henk Rogers' father, an expert Go player, taught his son the game, and Hank was now quite adept at it as well.
Not only was my game the #1 selling game in Japan in 1984, but it was the #1 game in software rental. You could rent my game for 1 day, use your copy software, make a copy, bring it back, and then the next day somebody else could rent it. You can imagine how many people actually got to play my game. Way more than I sold. And so that was really going to kill our industry. And the magazines were advertising copy tools.
Yep.
Can you imagine? The answer to that, to copy, is Nintendo, because Nintendo was making cartridges. My wife actually read in a magazine that Mr. Yamauchi, the president of Nintendo, plays Go. Wow. And I'd had a submission from a Commodore 64 from England, 9x9 Go. You know, Go is 19x19, but 9x9 Go. And this 9x9 Go was on the Commodore 64, which is a 6502. Nintendo is a 6502. So I knew that the algorithm was going to work. We didn't have to do anything to it. There's no danger of that. All we had to do was change the graphics and the sound and all of that, rebuild that from scratch. No problem. I wrote Mr. Yamauchi a fax. It's Tuesday. Mr. Yamauchi, my name is Henk Rogers. I can make a Go game for your Nintendo machine. I'm leaving for the States on Saturday. I would like to meet you before I leave. Wednesday, I get a fax back. Mr. Yamauchi will meet you tomorrow. I said, wow, that is some fast action there.
That's fucking awesome.
Now it's Thursday. Yamauchi says, I can't give you any programmers. And I said, I don't need any programmers. I have programmers. I just need money. And he goes, how much money? And I'm, wow, that's fast. And so I thought of the biggest number I could think of, 30 million yen. And he goes, deal. It's like, whoa, that was fast. That was fast. And that was it. That was pretty much the meeting. I mean, it was over in no more than maybe between 5 and 10 minutes. We had made a deal for $300,000. That's like the biggest number that I've even ever heard of. Okay, fine. So I'm cloud nine. I said, okay, I got to contact the guy from England and say, and make a deal with him, because I actually didn't have a Go game. So I contacted Alan Scarf in England, who had made the game. I said, dude, I'll pay you this much. You got to come to Japan and help me move this game to the Nintendo machine. And Alan Scarf lived in my house for 9 months while we moved the game. Now, to get a computer to play Go is incredible, you know? And now we're talking about a 64K, 8-bit computer playing Go. Are you serious? I mean, the fact that it can play Go at all is incredible. I have little ninjas jumping around collecting the stones. Instead of having a cursor, the stone floated above the board with a shadow, and if you said play there, then it would land on its shadow. It was graphically amazing, and it actually played pretty decently. It's 9 months later, and I'm back in a room with Mr. Yamauchi, and Mr. Yamauchi is fumbling with the controller.
Oh, that's terrifying.
I swear he'd never touched the controller before.
That
And
rocks.
it's like, are you serious? Like, this is a Nintendo machine. You've never actually, I didn't say this, I'm just being flabbergasted at this whole
Hey, that's business, man.
and he gets frustrated. And he
Sometimes
hands
you just
over
need to know
to
the.
his underling, and he says, I want to go there, I want to go there.
You need to know the
He
cost
plays one game with it.
of manufacture. You need to know the
He's
market.
a 6th-degree black belt in Go. Like my father, who's also a 6th dan.
Damn.
I'm a 3rd-degree black belt, so I can hold my own. If you give me 3 stones or you're 6th dan, we have an even game. He beats a 9x9 Go algorithm on Famicom, and he says, it's too weak for Nintendo. I said, Mr. Yamauchi, it's a miracle that it plays Go at all. It's plenty strong for children to learn how to play Go. And he says, did you not hear what I said? I said, it's too weak for Nintendo. I had to think fast. I said, Mr. Yamauchi, it may be too weak for Nintendo, but it's strong enough for my company, BPS. Let me publish it. What about my money? I'll give you 100 yen for each copy until you get your money back, which is $1. So I would have had to sell 300,000 copies to give him his money back. And he said, deal. That is how I became a Nintendo publisher. Because if he says, yes, you can publish it, it means, yes, he's given me the blessing to be a publisher.
Yamauchi was a businessman, not a video game
Go was
company
my
owner.
First game.
Yeah.
And after that,
Horse
I had
paint.
other reasons
I don't
to
know.
meet with Yamauchi. And so
Again,
I would always
linking it back to
on
what's on my mind, the competitive attitude.
He had no
of just like the things that don't matter
after my meeting,
to achieve your
and then we would play
victory
Go
condition.
afterwards.
And
it's like,
intimately
this
knowing
is
your
fun,
product isn't actually that
you know,
important.
because when we
It
play
might give you
Go,
some advantages, but it's
everybody
not
else is
guaranteed.
gone. Normally, he's got underlings that are making sure he doesn't say or do anything that he's not supposed to, whatever. But when you play Go, there's nobody in the room.
Aaron
First of all,
Carter,
nobody else in the industry
thank you for the
plays Go.
sub.
Can you imagine? And those two worlds didn't collide at all. Go in Japan is not.
I think,
considered a game. They don't even say play Go. They say do Go.
Huh.
It's like doing kendo or aikido, and Go is in that class. And so we played Go, and then he would ask me questions about.
I think a lot of
and so when,
gaming
we were
publishers
actually what
are in that
closest
realm
thing that
where
we
the
would
executive
have
staff doesn't care.
friendly.
They're not personally invested in the games the way the consumers are. They're aware of that investment, of course, and are willing to use it to make money. But yeah, a lot of people, understandably but erroneously, I think, assume that the entire video game world is driven by passion. But no, it's business, a capital B, for companies that earn that amount of money and can even establish that dominance. Like, there's not a whole lot of nice guy shit going on at the upper levels of the video game industry. Nintendo released its first game console, the Family Computer, or Famicom, in 1983. A few years later, it became extremely popular in Japan, and Nintendo was planning to release it in the US as the Nintendo Entertainment System. Japan's top computer software makers saw the writing on the wall and began seeking permission from Nintendo to make Famicom games. Look at that hoss. It's so weird to think about Nintendo as kind of more being, well, branding themselves as being more part of the home PC market in Japan. Now granted, yeah, that was because of the crash, and they didn't want to be pigeonholed as just a video game machine. But even the idea of it being like modular and extendable through expansion ports that they intentionally put there is pretty cool. I don't know. It's just interesting because in the United States, I guess it always had a reputation of being a more self-contained kind of Apple-like device. Initially, Nintendo rebuffed BPS's attempts to produce a Go game for the Famicom, but Henk was undeterred after his wife Akemi discovered in a magazine article that Nintendo's president Hiroshi Yamauchi played Go. Henk sent a fax. Yeah, that's so rad. Micro Go. Guess we just heard about all this. Oh, you can play this version of Go, huh? Magazine advertisements for Ego, Kyurobon Taikyoku featured a series of clay figures playing games of Go against a Famicom system. The first advertisement from May 87 showed the Famicom Disk System floppy disk version. The next two from June and July 87 for the cartridge version, which was released later. Oh. Oh, they have like a 3D box you can twirl? Fantastic. I don't know anything about Go. I know you take turns. That's about it. Lesson. This is just like pre-boards that you have to solve. Oh, they're actually teaching you. Ah. Huh. Cool. Wow, it actually has like an instruction mode. Oh, okay. You can start with like an easier board. Where you have pieces out already. Ah. Yeah, that moves really smoothly. Is this Tetris? Sorta? Why was he cheering? Why are you cheering, you bitch? You have nothing to cheer about. Yeah, completely wrecked. So is it just the AI? Like, why wouldn't they just start playing on the other side of the board? Yeah, think about it. Think about it real hard. Uh-oh. What was that dancing all about? It's really cool. There's like an overlay to show you stuff. Damn. How do they do it? Meanwhile, in London, just as Henk Rogers was releasing his Go game, Robert Stein of Andromeda Software was closing a deal to license Tetris rights to the US game publisher Spectrum Holobyte and to the European publisher Mirrorsoft. He signed contracts with both companies even though he had not secured the rights to the game from the Academy of Sciences. Alright, time for Henk to tetrify.
I'm at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. My job is to find games to bring to Japan. And the way it works is there are like hundreds of monitors from dozens of companies, all showing games. And the people are lined up to play those games, you know, for a couple of minutes to get an impression.
You know, he was trying to have a Go game. He was really into Go. He had this other game he was working on called Black Onyx. But everybody was playing this game in our booth. Tetris, Hank came over to play.
So I stand in line, and there I play Tetris for the first time. And, then I go and play other games, and I find myself standing in line at the Tetris machine again. And I play again. And, oh, okay. And I go away, and I find the fourth time I'm standing in this line is like, I'm really hooked on this game.
And he sees my name on the top of the high score list. So he sits there for hours trying to knock me off the list.
I put the high score on the game. I beat Gilman Louis' high score on that game.
He meets up with Phil.
I showed it to Hank for the first time. Hank loved it.
Phil takes Hank into a meeting with me.
And so I started negotiating with Gilman about Tetris for Japan.
And Hank goes, I want to get the Japanese rights.
I was fascinated that a game as simple as that kept my attention for so long. Its allure reminded me of a Japanese board game that my father taught me how to play called Go, which has black and white stones played onto a 19 by 19 grid, looks simple and is incredibly deep. It was at that very Consumer Electronics Show in 1988 my adventure began. I knew it would be a hit, and I knew that I needed to be part of it. Oh, look at this 4K box. Oh, this is absolutely pornographic box text. Zoom way in. Ugh. Yeah, look at this box text. Like you can see the like print pattern. The scratches and the little gold sticker. Dejan has redeemed a stretch. I agree. It's time for a stretch. This reminds me. I remember in I did like some computer graphics tinkering when I was in college. Some OpenGL shit, and essentially like it sounds rudimentary, but just made a 3D book. You know, just like a viewport window with a 3D object that's texture mapped and has lighting and stuff. But I coded it all in OpenGL. That was kind of the point of just like drawing boxes and having them respond to inputs and stuff. Anyway, I took a like actual book, took digital photos of the front and back and spine and everything, cropped it out, brightened it up, and then mapped that onto the 3D object, just as like, you know, just to do it. This reminds me a lot of that. Because it's pretty obviously like scanned in from a physical object to make it look as photoreal as possible. So cool. So cool. Oop. Oops. Come on. The animations are fantastic. Play. Let's boot it up while we get our stretch going. I don't think this has music still. Stretch time. Yeah, a little... Who doesn't love noises that burrow their way into your brain? Oh, geez. I think I played... Yes, I played this version of Tetris. I remember there was a computer in the computer lab when I was in like 2nd grade that had this version. I remember wishing I could be better so that I could see more of the backgrounds. On the little PC speaker squeak. Is there a way to... Oh, there it is. On the next. Might need some internet radio for this one. Oh, Karateka. Okay. Yeah, I was trying to remember, because I know that the same studio basically did a whole retrospective collection before this. But yeah, I couldn't remember, so thank you for bringing up Karateka. It was for Karateka. You can't move a piece and rotate it at the same time. So some of the inputs get really sticky. I don't think I can do that. I can't do that. Good time. Good time to sub Carl Hungus. Ugh. Thank God I didn't open that yet. Nah, I'm good, thank you. I thought were there not different backgrounds? It's just, oh, okay. All right. I guess it doesn't iterate through as you're playing. Maybe I didn't know that as a kid. Maybe I was just an idiot kid. Oh. So frosty. Yeah, it was a notification, Big Fat Geek. It wasn't the, that wasn't the game itself. And you're right, that was Balloon Fight. I remember this select... Oh. I like this pixel art a lot. Those little dudes down there working on stuff? How rad is that? Oh. Oh, I was on 5. I thought that was 0. Oh, that's right. Pleasant. Nice. No. Oh. Did not let me. Cool. Yeah. Weird trip. I think I was accidentally playing on 5 when I was a kid because I remember that like cockpit background pretty explicitly. I do kind of remember the Soviet building background.
At the CES, that's when we met with Stein, Robert Stein, who had the first version of Tetris that he said he saw while he was in Hungary and was trying to see if there would be an American publisher of that particular game. Stein made his career finding interesting products in the East, Eastern Europe, right, and bringing them to the West. A sole practitioner of licensing people's products, identifying potential talent. I think that was an important function at that time, given the fact that it was really hard to go to a place like the Soviet Union. What was interesting was Robert Stein had shot this game to a few other publishers. One of them was to Broderbund.
Yeah, I remember them.
We wouldn't have said this.
I definitely played
at the time
Broderbund,
if it didn't exist.
Tetris.
It was more of a handheld kind of game, a little bit of a lightweight game. I didn't feel like it had the heft to be a PC game. I also thought it looked a little messy. It was a story that I heard about where it came from and through whom, but I was dealing with people several steps down the ladder, and I wasn't totally sure of its provenance.
There was a producer at that time, Brad Frager. It's kind of a contract producer. And Brad was saying, hey, I just saw this great game called Tetris that Robert Stein is showing around. You should really, really publish it. Then I got a call from Microsoft, from Jim McConaughey. Jim goes, hey, Stein is coming to the States. He dropped off this game. We can't stop playing it. Like, we cannot stop playing it.
Jim McConaughey, who was the CEO for Microsoft, said, I've got something to show you. And he showed me Tetris. I played it for a little bit, just couldn't quit playing it. Jim says, hey, I'm dealing with Robert Stein. He has the rights to it.
Phil was in the meeting, myself was in the meeting, and Stein was in the meeting. I said, I like the game a lot, but I want to make a lot of changes. Right? I want to change the graphics. I want to change the scoring mechanisms, the controls. I want to tweak with it. Can I talk to the programmers? And he goes, you can't talk to the programmers. I go, I can't talk to the programmers. Why can't I talk to the programmers? If you're licensing somebody's product, I need to be able to talk to the programmers. And he goes, well, the programmers are not in Hungary. They're in the Soviet Union. Soviet Union? I turned to Phil. I said, put it in a red box.
We wanted to push it as the first
Perfect.
product out of Russia, and we came up with a marketing concept.
Oh my
The
gosh.
seal is the box, and the
Yeah,
Tetris
the
using
backwards
Russian
R
symbol
and shit.
letters.
So his marketing brain starts rolling. My marketing brain starts rolling. So we do the deal.
We signed the deal, but unbeknownst to us, is it was signed in with Academy Soft, and eventually
Yeah, Elorg.
Programmer took it over in Russia, and that's
remember seeing
how
that on the NES
some of the rights
cartridge.
got convoluted later.
We spent months trying to get that thing tuned so that it felt right through that progression till you got into that sweet spot of the gameplay. Because that was a key part of the magic of the game.
Did I not even get 10 lines? How come the background didn't click over?
Because people were playing this thing at work.
Oh, yeah.
So we had so that if you press a key, a spreadsheet, a fake VisiCalc sheet would show up. Because people, once you started
rocks.
playing, they couldn't stop playing. We had
And
to-
remember boss keys? I remember hearing about those as a kid, but did not know what it meant. And then reading about it later as an adult and being like, oh, smart.
Hey,
Real
this
smart.
is the game that Russia will use to invade America, right? Through addiction. We were trying to put together a story that would get people sucked into the game. But once you got into the game took care of the rest. And yeah, we tweaked it, we tuned it, but the core of the game was always there. It was there way before we touched the product. And I give all the credit to the original Russian team.
We finally got the PC version.
I guess, yeah, it was
from
multiple people by that
Spectrum
point.
buy it. And when we put it on PC and saw it, we got both of us, me and Belikov, we became pale.
There's a 16-year-old German pilot that landed a plane in Red Square, and we put that into the introduction.
Pulling a banner that says "Play Tetris," right across the screen.
That was very big political scandal at this time around this landing and whatever.
So we thought that was fun because, again, we're trying to get the game positioned so that when they think about the Soviet Union, they'll think about Tetris. When they think about Tetris, they'll think about the Soviet Union. Stein goes, you need to change that.
We immediately kind of contact them and say it's absolutely.
Do you want us to die?
So we pulled it out.
Yeah.
They say, no problem, we will take it away. That was a very big relief.
Just so happened, as we were coding up the game, the announcement goes off that it's going to be the first summit, détente, between Reagan and Gorbachev. So that all was part of how we framed it. Like, this is the thing that's going to break through the Iron Curtain.
We hired a Gorbachev.
Oh,
and
God.
Reagan
Come on.
Look-alike.
So good.
Start producing ads, a USA Today style ad that says, what's really happening behind these secret meetings, and they had them two playing Tetris. And it was picked up by everybody.
We really went all out, TV, media, the whole perestroika.
So Tetris was actually launched with the story from the New York Times as the first game from the Soviet Union.
And it won Game of the Year at the SBA Awards for 1988.
Yeah, in the middle of the Cold War. Also really interesting that they're not like... I guess there's some exoticism to it, but you wouldn't think that has a very American construct around it. Which is... It's cool, They're not just selling to one market. They're trying to harness whatever mystique they might have. Moscow. Soviet challenge revealed. That sun's like barely poking through the iciest, cloudiest, cold shit. That's a really cool illustration in the background. One ray of hope. It's kind of a red sun, though, what it looks like in Soviet Russia. I hope they have the one with the freaking Reagan and Gorbachev lookalikes playing Tetris. Back at the USSR. Fantastic holiday. The Apple II Tetris?
The situation was very clear. Not my computer center, even Academy of Science has no right to have any business deal with somebody outside of USSR. That was very special agency of Ministry of Foreign Affairs who was authorized to sign some kind of business deals with any other outside entities. And then I start kind of my odyssey over those different agencies in Moscow. I didn't want this too much. I was a little bit afraid of all this kind of activity around this stuff. So
I would be too.
to avoid it, I used in full force. But as soon as I have this telex, I need to do something with it. And I did several agency, and all of them kind of say, no, we don't deal with software, we don't know how to do this. It's not our main job, and the deal is too small or whatever. Finally, I got very good guy in Ilorg. His last name was Alexeyenko. Sasha Alexeyenko, Alexander Alexeyenko, yeah. He likes programming and he likes us programmers, and that was a very big hope for my little game. So I prepare some kind of paper for agreement between Computer Center and Delorg. My deputy director just signed it without reading. 3 or 4 months, I didn't heard anything of it. And all of a sudden he called me and say, yeah, well, I met Robert Stein. He considered your reply as an agreement. I say, come on. How could it be? It looks like he get this deal as is, and he is sub-licensed it already, and the game is about to come out. We can't do anything like that. So the only thing we could do is just to sign the agreement with them and let them do it. So we don't have we cannot bargain with him already, because he consider this telex reply as a general agreement.
So you can still bargain. You can still bargain.
Somehow it happens and stopped. And I never heard about the game, about anything for another kind of maybe 3 or 4 months. But at this time, the new person came to the scene, Mr. Belikov, Nikolai Evgenievich Belikov came on board. He became the chief of my previous friend. We discussed the strategy, we discussed what we could do. We decided we never give up the other platforms and whatever. So we was all in agreement about this stuff.
Wow. Messy. Tetris for the Apple II. I have played very few games on the Apple II. While the Apple II, originally released in 1977, was nearing the end of its life by mid-1988, there were still enough uses of this popular computer that Spectrum Holobyte ported its version of Tetris to the platform. As in Pajitnov's original version, points are rewarded for dropping tetromino pieces more quickly, not for clearing lines. Game speed gradually increases as more lines are cleared. Huh. Like they're simulating the monitor glow. That's pretty cool. Tetris. All right. Blib, 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 blib. Bab. Oh.
So I went to Japan.
It's June by now. Gilman Louis comes to Japan.
Yeah.
So I went to Japan.
It's June by now. Gilman Louis comes to Japan. His first stop is the company that put him in business, a Japanese company called ASCII, that made a deal to represent Microsoft in Japan.
I had a good relationship with Microsoft Japan through ASCII Corporation, because they kind of gave me my start, gave me contracts to develop games for the MSX back then. It was a Japanese computer.
That was their relationship. So he had to stop at ASCII first. And they were the biggest company in Japan at that time.
I showed it to them, but they were not that interested in Tetris.
ASCII passed on Tetris in 1988 because they said Tetris was too retro. Can you imagine? Tetris was too retro in 1988. ASCII is gone. Tetris is still here. I would say ASCII is too retro.
Boom.
So Hank goes, I'll license it.
He's already dead.
I agree that Hank would be the right partner because Hank loved this product. Like, he loved this product. And I knew he was going to do right by this product. Hank wanted console rights as well. Now, this is pre-Game Boy.
Gilman, at that point, licensed me. Of course, it was PC, it was console, it was coin-op, and then he goes back, and we had made a whole deal.
So I go back and I call up Microsoft because we jointly owned the IP. The Mirror Group was owned by the Maxwells, and the son of Robert Maxwell. Robert Maxwell was the head of the entire enterprise. But Kevin was trying to build his own sub-publishing group inside this, an electronic publishing group. The CEO was a guy by the name of Peter Bellotta. And Peter wanted the rights for Blasteroids. He traded Blasteroid rights for Tetris.
3 weeks later, he calls me and he says, I'm really sorry to say this, but while I was in Japan dealing this, Microsoft has licensed those rights to Tengen. Atari Games / Tengen. I said, those guys absolutely have no presence in Japan. Why would they do that? They traded it for Blasteroids.
Blasteroids was a B game at best.
I mean,
I remember that one, yeah.
Like a condition. Blasteroid, here, take some preparation B. You know, where did nobody ever heard of Blasteroids after that? Anyway,
I was furious, but he wanted the Atari brand. So I go up to Kevin. I said, "This is Kevin Maxwell. I said, this is the worst decision you could ever make. How could you let this game go for a B-class game like Blasteroids?" Kevin was trying to broker the peace between warring American company run by myself, Sphere and Spectrum Holobyte, and Peter Bellotta, who was running Microsoft at the time. So the way it worked was, okay, you keep the game rights, but Peter is going to license this off. So I call up Hank and I said to Hank, look, I'm out of it.
I said, Gilman, we made a deal. You can't just like walk away and say that, sorry, there was no deal. We have a deal. He said, okay, let me see what I can do. And then what he came back with is, okay, well, I got you the PC rights. The PC rights. That's something.
My parent company has ruled that they're going to go with the Brits. The Brits have licensing it to Atari or Tengen, right? You need to go talk to them if you want to get the rights for the cartridge.
God. Messy. Atari didn't even pay any money for the home game rights to Tetris. It simply traded Microsoft the rights to create home versions of an Atari game called Blasteroids, the sequel to the outer space shooter Asteroids. In exchange, it got not only the home game rights, but also rights to release a Tetris arcade game in the US. Sheesh.
I'd already started developing on all 8 different personal computers. They were all not compatible, and on Nintendo, on the family computer or the NES. Tengen. Okay, Tengen. I know the guy who I can deal with at Tengen. His name is Randy Brolite. He sends me a fax and he says, "Sorry, but we've made a decision. We can't license it to you." I'm like, what? And Atari Games was owned. Let's see, it was 46% by an American company, 46% by Namco, and 8% by the people running the company. So I thought, well, maybe Namco decided that they were going to publish it. But Namco had a policy. They never published anybody else's software. They only ever published their own games. I remember being at a trade show, and I ran into Iwatani. Iwatani is the creator of Pac-Man. And so I go, Mr. Iwatani, what do you think of Tetris? And he drew a blank. He said, what do you mean? I said, never mind. If Namco was going to be publishing Tetris, and if they were looking at it, he would know. And so the fact that he didn't know meant that Namco had no eyes on Tetris.
Huh.
I said to my team, look, I'm getting on a plane. I'm going to there in San Jose. I'm going to San Francisco. I'm not coming back till I have these rights. I got a meeting. Remember the table with Van Elderen, Nakajima, Randy Brolite, and I was explaining that I had already made a lot of progress on Tetris, and it took me 10 days. You know, I remember having sushi with the president of Atari Games, Nakajima, and on a napkin we made a deal. That's how I end up being able to publish Tetris in Japan.
God. How exhausting.
So I thought.
That's not even it. God. That's a very crisp looking disc. On November 18th, 1988, BPS released versions of Tetris for 8 different Japanese computer formats, including the PC-88, MSX2, X68000, and others. Packaging was similar to what Spectrum Holobyte had used for the US versions, with a red and yellow hammer and sickle design reminiscent of the Soviet flag. Signature Tetris line clear.
We've invited everybody in here.
Love that. I love that emote.
Of the original
People business.
Tetris as Alexey programmed it.
That's how I envision myself every time I send off invoices for things.
And Alex came up with the idea to program Tetris, and he thought about it for 10 days and programmed it for about 4 days. And this is the result of his effort. So Alexey,
I'm still on level 5, and I could increase the speed on the fly.
oh really?
Yes.
I did that by accident the other day. How does that work?
Yeah, you just push the 4 button, and now here we go. We are on the level 6.
Oh, I see. It's a one-way thing.
Exactly.
See?
My scoring system was a little bit complicated.
I had invented some new additions to Tetris.
One contribution that Henk made that most people don't know about was the single, double, triple Tetris. The idea of clearing 4 lines at a time, and that gives you the highest score. Like that was Henk.
Nice.
In the original rules of Tetris, there is no points awarded for clearing a line. The only points that you get in the original Tetris is for allowing a new piece to appear in the playfield. And the way the scoring works is you get 24 points for allowing a piece to appear in the playfield. Every time it falls one row, then you lose 1 point.
Huh.
So the quicker you hard drop it into its final position, the more points you save. And Alexey charges you a 5-point tax for peeking at the next piece. So instead of getting 24 points, you only get 19 points if the next piece is showing.
No можно так. Now you see the next piece is shown just in the middle of the screen. I mean, of height-wise.
Do you like that idea though?
Yeah, actually, it's more natural. That's what people expect. You know, when I wrote the game, I think just about my own common sense. But
The Tetris worlds to the left there.
the game for people to play, you need to respond what they expect out of the game, and it's quite natural to get extra credit for cleaning lines and other stuff. So basically, it's much better idea.
Neat. Oh. Tetris magazine ad. I guess you had to turn the magazine on its side. Ah! That's our guy. They just put him in the ad? Yeah. Henk Rogers himself stars in this Japanese Tetris advertisement, gnawing on a tetromino in apparent frustration. Text of the ad states that the frustration players feel when playing the game eventually adds up to a feeling of enjoyment. Spelled tetramino wrong. Tetrimino, yeah.
I used to play Tetris in arcade. That was Sega arcade. And before I joined the Sega, I was a teenager. And, the Japanese Game Center, that was a very exciting place. Two people sat facing each other in a table-type cabinet. And it was, coins stacked on the table like that. And I wasn't a good player, but I watched the super plays, by the great players, many great players.
Oh, the digitized photos in the background. That's
always
great.
A huge crowd around the Tetris table. Tetris was like very intellectual battle type of game. It's very quiet and silence, and very high tension. And everybody watching just blocks. I think Tetris is the first game, it's very great to watch. Yeah, Tetris is very minimal, simple game. No decoration, just, very simple patterns of shapes. Everybody go into, a deep dive into the zone states kind of feel. I love that. I love that feeling.
Whoa. Tetris Arcade Flyer. I'm gonna have to check this out. I'll have to find the ROM and cram it into MAME or something. I love crunchy digitized photos. You do need a very high IQ to understand Tetris. Thank you. I've been saying this. Oh. Electronika or Elorg. Never played this version. Really interesting. That is a great illustration. Oh my gosh. I wonder if I can find a print of that. That would be cool to have in a tasteful frame on the wall. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait. Well, that's fine.
So I send my guys out to get initial orders for Tetris. And they came back and said, we got 40,000 units. And 40,000 is not enough. Because in order for you to get a repeat order, you have to sell through at least 200,000 copies. And so I made a meeting with you, Mr. Yamauchi, again. So, Mr. Yamauchi, I think I have one of the greatest games in the history of computer games. And my guy, I don't know whether it's my marketing that sucks or whether my sales guys suck. I don't know. But we've only been able to get 40,000 units. Well, he calls in Miyamoto. Miyamoto's the guy who made Mario and Zelda and everything. Miyamoto. Miyamoto, is this a great game? And Miyamoto says, yes. And
he knows.
Wow. So, and how do you know? It says, because your secretaries and accountants are playing at lunch and after work. And then he calls in Imanishi. He's the number 2. He goes, Imanishi, I want you to put Nintendo's seal of approval on this game. I was like, whoa, that's like the seal of good housekeeping. And I want you to call every distributor and tell them to order more.
Christ almighty.
I was like, wow, this is some serious action that's going on. I remember there was a moment when Yamauchi actually thought, he could buy Tetris from me and then let Nintendo publish it. And he said, you'll make much more money if you let me publish Tetris and I'll pay you royalties. And I said, that may be true, but Tetris is my game. The only way that I would give you Tetris
is
if you would give me Mario. Okay, you got the point. So thank you very much. Go back to Yokohama. Mr. Imanishi calls me back the next day and says, please, please, please don't make me put the seal of approval on the game, because if I do, then every other company is going to want a seal of approval, and then I have to set up a whole department figuring out which games have get the seal of approval or not, and then it's just going to be a huge headache. So but I'll call every distributor for you and make them order more. Okay, I thought, well, shoot, as long as I get the orders, I'm fine. So he calls distributors, and we got another 30,000, which is like, oh, come on, So Christmas comes, the distribution puts our games in all the stores, and it's not selling through. He knows what Tetris is. It's not a game that you can look at an ad and say, oh, I want to play that game. No, you have to play Tetris. And so distributors then, the stores started panicking. The distributors started dumping. Dumping means selling below their cost. I got my guys calling everybody, said, do not dump your software. This is a different pattern from every other game. People have to play the game before they can.
Long tail.
It'll take off, but it takes off slower. Well, end of January, every place was sold out, and every place was clamoring for more. Beginning of February, we got orders for 200,000 units. Where am I going to get the money for 200,000 units? Because at that time, the way that it worked is you had to pay Nintendo cash up front. Then basically they go into manufacturing. 2 months later, you get your delivery, it goes into the store. Then you get paid back. So it's 2.5 months before you get your money back. $2.5 million, $2 million, $10 or 1,000 yen a cartridge. And so I went to the bank, and the bank says, where's your collateral? $2 million. And finally, I convinced my wife to convince her family, her father. Basically, they put up all of their real estate, all of it. So we managed to hang on.
Holy shit. Fuck. Gotta spend money to make money, though. God damn. Famicom Tetris. All right. Bulletproof software. Here, this version of the game was only released in Japan. The game uses an early control scheme in which you rotate Tetrona pieces with the directional buttons and hard drop by pressing a button. Yeah. So you have to hit up to rotate? They're using the music, though. I like how the monitors also change depending on the format of the game you're playing. That's so cool. All right, let's get in there. Which button? Oh, there we go. Tetris. I'll go with Tetris. Oops! Right. Okay. Yeah, the warning about swapping the buttons around was pretty apt because it is tricky. Oh my gosh. Anthrax, what other Digital Eclipse Gold Master Series games have there been? Because someone else mentioned Karateka. I don't know if there's been more than, because I remember that one, but I think I'm not familiar with any other ones. But yeah, this is quite good. This is my first experience with the series, but you couldn't ask for a more like loving, informative, well laid out, well researched, well flowing digital experience to kind of go through a game's history. Oh, they did Atari 50. Okay, so there was an Atari one. All right, all right. Oops. Oh, Llamasoft, the Jeff Minter story. Yes. Also that one. Okay, so there's 4 total? Well, I guess there will be tomorrow when this one comes out. Yeah, I don't know too much about Jeff Minter, but I think I played Space Giraffe like once. Oops. They just had a big update for the 50th anniversary game, adding more stuff. Damn, that's cool. Damn it. The wrong button again. I keep trying to mentally overwrite. Okay, so you can... Oh, okay. All right. We got it, folks. That's the sound of the score. Okay. I was hoping there'd be different backgrounds or something. Gotta get those backgrounds. Gotta get those backgrounds working. Oh, that's right. You lose lives. Wonder if I choose a different level. We'll get to Tetris. We'll get there. Okay, it's the same background. I want to at least hear the music. What kind of masochist chooses silence with Tetris? I'm gonna guess the kind of person that has like a tape deck and their own music they want to listen to. Imagine loading up some Rush. Miles Davis, that'd be cool. A rainy day, you're listening to Miles Davis and playing Tetris. Pretty good. Oops. All right. Let's try that third song. Yeah, Kalinka. That's what it's called in the menu option anyway. It's interesting. It doesn't seem like you can choose the title track as background music. Oops. Damn it. Every time I start to speed up a little bit, I fudge the inputs because they swapped around, drop and rotate. I'm getting the full experience. Sometimes the pieces come up rotated and sometimes they don't. I guess maybe it's the orientation that they're depicted in the next window. Yeah, I guess so. Huh. Interesting. Oh, that was a bad idea. Yep. Alright, let's move on. Tengen goes rogue. The Tetris story took a dramatic twist in December 1988. The game publisher Tengen was set to release Tetris with Nintendo's approval for the NES in the US, but it made the surprising announcement that it would cease doing business with Nintendo and would release Tetris without Nintendo's approval. Spectrum, Holobyte, Microsoft, and BPS were already making lots of money off Tetris, but the story was not over. Nintendo was about to enter the fray, and it would change Tetris forever. There's no way they got the rights to NES Tetris for this, did they? They did. Nintendo Mania! Look at that beaut. Look at that magical console. This is kind of where it all began. I mean, this was the first home console that I had, even though I had exposure to, like, PC games before this. Nintendo launched its Famicom console in the US as the Nintendo Entertainment System. By 1988, Nintendo Mania was in full swing. Nintendo had sold 10 million NES consoles and captured over 80% of the gaming market. NES was not just the hottest thing in video games, but across the entire toy industry. Man. The games industry headed to Chicago in the summer of 1988 for the Consumer Electronics Show. It was there that Nintendo America's president Minoru Arakawa and its senior vice president Howard Lincoln got hooked on playing Atari's version of Tetris. They knew that Tengen would release the game for the Nintendo Entertainment System that year, but secretly they were thinking about something else. The Game Boy. Man, a pristine-looking Game Boy, too. Wow. Every Game Boy I've seen has had the weight of the world crushed on it. At this time, Nintendo was preparing to release its next game machine, a portable system called the Game Boy. They knew the simple graphics of Tetris would be perfect for Game Boy's small black and white screen, and its easy-to-learn gameplay would make it the perfect portable time killer. Oh.
Game Boy was coming. I knew Game Boy was coming out. We'd heard this long before in 88. And so I got on a plane in January. I went to...
Look at how bashed up that screen is. Amazing.
And, met with Mr. Arakawa, and I said, Mr. Arakawa, what's your plan for Game Boy? I know you always have a policy to include a game with a new hardware. So what's your plan? And he said, well, I'm going to include Mario. And I said, well, I got a better game. It's Tetris. And he already knew about Tetris because people were playing it. I said, if you want little boys to buy your Game Boy, include Mario. If you want everyone to buy your Game Boy, include Tetris. And then you could always, afterwards still sell Mario and make the money off Mario. So He called in, I think it was Ken Lobb. He called in his experts, and they all said, yeah, do that.
Hats off to Mr. A and the rest of the team and Nintendo recognizing that this was transformative and a critical product to pack in because it was the perfect product to launch it with.
We made a deal.
It's fucking awesome.
I shook hands on that. No, I didn't have the rights. I said, I'm going to go to the Soviet Union and get those rights.
Yeah, Ken Lobb. Ken Lobb did a lot. Did a lot of moving and shaking. I actually don't know the extent of all of Ken Lobb's business arrangements. Oh, I love this home footage stuff.
From San Francisco to Seattle. Here we are.
Man, I remember seeing the exterior of that building.
One of the new buildings. I think they have.
It was in like a lot of Nintendo promo videos and stuff. I wonder if it's still the same building now in Redmond.
The first building you see should be the building where they manufacture the Nintendo unit. Well, we have an appointment with Mr. Arakawa.
Creator of the Klob? The namesake of the Klob, yeah. Ken Lobb.
A little bit early.
The Wiener gun from GoldenEye was named after Ken Lobb, yeah. Pretty cool stuff.
Let me introduce you to Mr. Ota. This is Mr. Ota from Nintendo of America. He's probably the most important Japanese person in America next to Mr. Arakawa.
That's not true.
So, this is a sample of the way Nintendo merchandises products.
Man, box art used to matter. Nowadays, by the time somebody gets to a purchasing decision, like they already know if they want to buy the game or not.
Answer letters and
like, does cover art even matter? I think key art does. Like you absolutely need imagery to convey the like fundamentals of a game to people.
How many of them are there?
There are, boy,
but it doesn't look anywhere near as cool, like stacked up next to each other like that.
4 a.m. until 10 p.m.
4 a.m. till 10 p.m. Oh my gosh.
Ugh.
Okay, and scanning around here, we get into the games counselors. How many game counselors are there?
Right around 82, and the numbers are growing.
That was the dream back in the day.
And these are people who answer questions.
This is way better though. I don't have to.
And,
how to play games.
Okay.
I have to walk people through impossible NES games.
Here's all customer support.
All the way down here is all customer support.
Well, maybe in a couple of years, this will be BPS.
Wow. Awesome.
Robert Stein, he was the closest to Moscow, and we were communicating by fax for the handheld rights. You know, he kept on putting me off, and you know, he sends me a fax. He says, I'm going to go to this whatever trade show in Germany, then I'm going to Moscow, I'll be there for a week, there for a week. Then
yeah, audio, I wonder how quickly that job would become terrible.
Why? You know, why do I have to come a week after you go to Moscow? What's going on? That was February of 1989. Then at that time, I got a call from Arakawa. I said, somebody, and that was Gilman Louie, had come to me and said that they could give me the Game Boy rights to Tetris. All the alarms were going off. There is, somebody else is dealing Tetris somewhere. I got to get on that plane. So I said, Mr. Arakawa, Gilman is the one who came to Japan and said he could give me the rights.
Nice.
And turned out he didn't have the rights. So I'm about to get on a plane and go to Moscow and get these rights for you. Give me a chance to finish my job.
Thank you for the sub, Private Eye.
With a tourist visa, 2 days later, I got on a plane, went to Moscow.
Damn. The Moscow Gambit. Unbeknownst to Hank, 2 other men were also flying to Moscow to meet with Elorg about Tetris. Robert Stein wanted to lock down the rights to handheld and arcade games, and Kevin Maxwell of Maxwell Communications, which owned Mirrorsoft, had decided to go as well, see if he could license those rights directly without involving Andromeda at all. Oh, jeez. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to wrap up the stream in a minute. Wondering where the next playable Tetris is. I guess it's a while. You got a ways to go here.
I get on a plane with a tourist visa.
I'll be back later, Ferret King.
Or anything.
But I gotta go record. Brought you this thing. More quality YouTube entertainment. I want to start Slitterhead though, so I'm gonna go over to Bruce's. We're gonna lay down some gold, lay down another gold YouTube video, another platinum hit, and then come back.
Camera because I
prep a little.
No confidence that I'll be able to describe what happened to me in Moscow.
Prep a lean dinner.
I was recording everything.
Back on the clock. I'm excited to lay down some smooth video game hours on the internet here.
This is my room in the Interest Hotel. Oh, look, there's even a mirror. There's a TV. This TV, I tried to plug it in last night, and sparks started coming out of the machine.
That's awesome.
Moscow. It looks pretty gray. That's because it's pretty gray. Well, today I'm going to go out, see what I can find out.
All I have is the game with the copyright notice, and the copyright notice says Tengen to Mirasoft, from Mirasoft to Andromeda, from Andromeda
Jesus Christ.
to Elorg.
Ugh. Business so messy.
Time finding Elorg.
I've spent about 3 hours trying to locate Elorg.
Watching video of Hawaii because the TV doesn't work, the radio doesn't work. I've read everything I could read. I'm waiting for a phone call from Japan. They're gonna tell me where the Moscow Go Club is because I'm sure I won't be able to find out by asking people here.
My strategy was I was going to find a Go player in the Soviet Union. So I had gotten the address of the Russian Go Association.
Just any Go player?
Some phone calls for me, set up a Go game. And so the next morning, I had a chance to play Go with the third strongest Go player in the Soviet Union.
Sure.
He's also a 6 dan.
Go get trounced by a Go player?
He's also a 6 dan.
I got smart this time, and I have hired a car.
The next day, we hired a limousine.
Driver in the mirror. I wonder if we can. Maybe it's too dark to see. So, what's your name?
My name is Victor.
Victor. I see. Okay.
I get back to my hotel, and in the hallway of the hotel, all of a sudden I see an interpreter. And it's like, interpreter. It's like, oh my gosh, of course, I should hire an interpreter.
You know, to the left, you can't see us. It's there is one of the biggest swimming pools in Moscow.
But it's not a swimming pool now, I bet. It's a skating rink or something?
No, it's swimming pool. It's open all the year round.
And people swim there now?
Yes.
What?
Wow.
Oh, it goes a hell of a drug.
So I have a very lovely interpreter. And her name is...
My name is Allah.
Your name is Allah.
And so I said to him, Allah, can you help me find Elorg? And she looked at it and said, oh yeah, I know where Elorg is. She knew that right away. And I said, that made me suspicious. It's like she already knew what I was looking for. In other words, the word had gotten around, this guy snooping around for Elorg, which I'm not supposed to be doing that. I'm not supposed to be meeting any Russians. I'm only supposed to be there taking pictures of tourist attractions. That's it.
Really something.
First, we went to the Go Club. The place where people play Go is inside of this big building where the Olympic Committee was.
Whoa! What's this? Olympiada? Olympiski. That's where they have the chess club.
Donde está el Elorg?
We're going right into it. I'm impressed.
Of course, it's all concrete.
I won that game. Problem with the Go player is he didn't speak a word of English. So he was absolutely useless. I couldn't get anything out of him, but I had the interpreters, it's fine. So then we went to Elorg.
Okay, we're on the street here, where we just passed by the American Embassy.
Lorg. And I remember going up to the door of the Lorg, this interpreter, she goes, no, you can't go in there. And I said, what do you mean I can't go in there? She said, you're here on a tourist visa. It's like, how do you even know that? You know?
Nice, yeah.
And I said, I didn't come all this way to stand in front of a door and then go back to Japan and get a visa so that I can go through this door. I'm going through this door. Are you coming with me? And she said, no, I can't go with you. I said, okay, I'm going in. You wait here. So I just stood there in the lobby waiting for somebody to talk to me. Mr. Belikov comes down the stairs, and I had my game. I said, I'm the publisher of this game in Japan, Tetris, and I'm looking for the rights to Tetris for handheld. And he looks at it, and he says, what machine is this for? And I said, it's for Nintendo. It's a console. And he says, we never licensed Tetris for console to anyone. I'm like, holy crap. If somebody else picked up those rights, they could stop me from publishing, and my in-laws would lose all of their land. So I was in some seriously deep kimchi at that moment. I decided, you know what? I'm going to focus on the mission that I'm here, and I'll deal with this later. So I said, I would like to come back tomorrow, and I'm here for the handheld rights. The reason I said the next day is because I wanted to make sure that they could get the right people in the room. So he said, okay, come back tomorrow. I'll meet you at 1 o'clock, blah, blah, blah. That was my official invitation right there.
Wow. Still amazed at just stories where just asking around, trying to find the information you need, leads to, you carving something out of nothing. The imagination to just be like, no, I'll just go talk to him. And it doesn't land you in jail. That's pretty cool. Okay, so yeah, I guess if you just hit the button, it breaks out. There's Hatris. It was the very next one. Multiple Hatrises. Oh, so yeah, they don't have Game Boy Tetris. They don't have NES Tetris. That makes sense. I mean, I think those are on Nintendo Switch Online, actually. Bombless. Yeah. I had Tetris 2 for Game Boy. It was alright. Sweet, sweet Hatris. Really cute cover art. I guess it's kind of copying the iconography of Tetris, of like all the iconic shapes, making those into hats and just super flat geometric style. Okay. I have to step away from streaming for a bit. Like I said, got to go make some more internet comedy solid gold. But I'll be back in a handful of hours to start up Slitterhead. Unless something weird happens. Most weird things happen. I don't know. Washing machine explodes. Steph has something I need to do. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Steph comes first. I'm sure we'd all agree with that. If something happens. But I don't think anything's going to happen. So hopefully I'll be back later tonight with Slitterhead. I'll definitely be back tomorrow. Nothing going on tomorrow as far as I know. Full day of streaming then. I made a big post earlier. Should I post it again or no? I don't know. What is it about? I have no information to answer this question for you. Oh! Oh! Welcome, everyone. I'm just closing down. I am just shutting it down. Hello, Charlotte and Patrick. I have to go record YouTube videos. So, welcome everyone, and also goodbye. We'll raid on somewhere else, I guess. We were watching a variety of pleasant documentary videos about Tetris. This is Tetris Forever. It's coming out tomorrow. It's an extremely well put together documentary of the history of Tetris, and it's flying around different places. Well, thank you. What a Show for the raid. Hey, if you haven't followed What a Show, maybe you should. And I'll be back later tonight. Pepper, thanks for the sub. Yeah, I'm going to be back in like 2 or 3 hours to play Slitterhead, which I'm really, really excited for, even though I know it's probably not the most cutting edge thing. I don't care. It's going to be weird, and I'm about that. And it's almost West Coast weed time. What an amazing combination of events. I get a raid, I stop streaming, and also it's weed time. So much to be happy about on this beautiful day. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Like I said, I'll be back in a few hours, and I'll hopefully see some of you then. Bye-bye.